Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jackie and this is jacqueismaking, a place where I talk all about the knit garments, accessories, and sometimes sewing projects that I have going on. And today I'm going to be talking with you all about some of my major whip pile that I have. I have this drawer in my craft room that's filled with some abandoned projects, and I was looking through my Ravelry and just thinking, you know what, it might be kind of fun to talk with you all about like why I abandoned these and like whether or not I should frog it or I should make a plan to finish it. And then I also pulled another garment out of my closet. It was the first garment I ever made, not the first sweater, but it's the first garment. And I kind of messed up pretty bad on one section. And so I've worn it, but it's arguably unwearable. And so I'm going to show that to you and let's talk about frogging it and what we could do. So stay tuned if you're interested in just like taking a sneak peek inside of my abandoned whips and exploring with me what we could do, how we could navigate this going forward. Before we get into it though, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Clawlab, and I'm so excited to talk with you all about this because I just think that it's maybe one of the most brilliant ideas for what to do with all of our abandoned yarn. So speaking of abandoned projects, what about all of the yarn that you have left over when a project is finished? If you're anything like me, whenever you finish a project, you almost always have a skein or half a skein left over. And what do you do with it? Like sometimes there's crappy projects, but a lot of times, you know, it ends up just like acquiring and growing in your stash. And so when Clawlab reached out to me, I was like, you know what? That might be a really great idea. So what I am talking with you about is a tufting gun to make rugs. And a wonderful feature of rugs is typically they're made out of wool yarns anyways, because wool is kind of, you know, naturally self-cleaning. It's just a wonderful fiber that really holds up well within a rug. So I feel like it's just such a great transition to use for some of our scraps. But this tufting gun in particular is pretty special. It's a lot smaller than a lot of the tufting guns on the market, and it only weighs about 550 grams. So it's super light in my hand, and it kind of just makes the whole process very seamless. They sent over a kit for me, and what's great about it is it came with a frame. So sometimes you'll see frames are just wood frames with nails sticking out. It's not super safe. This frame is super sturdy. It was very easy to attach to my desk. And I was able to put the backing fabric on it, really tighten it up nice, and then get to tufting. I will mention there was a little bit of a learning curve in figuring out how to use this. So when you see my clips, you'll see, you know, I have a little bit of yarn everywhere, and I haven't completed a project yet because I just have been playing with it. But just know there's a tiny bit of a learning curve, but once you get going, it's super fun. And there's so many different tufting videos on YouTube that I was watching and learning, and people just make the most gorgeous projects that look like they'd be perfect for like a wall hanging, a little rug, a doormat. You could make something even bigger, but then also it seems like it would just be such a fun project to have as like a Christmas present or any other sort of gift. And really, once I got the hang of it and I was playing with the really nice like speed settings, I was able to just tuft pretty effortlessly. I also love the gun has a lot of safety mechanisms. It has an automatic standby mode. You're really easily able to it has like a carrying case and something to go over the front. And I just felt like very safe using it and putting it away. So if you have an overwhelming yarn stash like I do, definitely it's worth checking out. I'll leave a link in the description box below for you to click through and look through all of their offerings. All right, so to start with today, let's talk about that garment that I messed up, because I think this is a pretty fun way to start, because when I finished this, I was just so pleased. I was so proud of myself. I had went to my local yarn store and I picked out just the softest, most delicious yarn I could find, and I knit a vest here with a Madeline Tosh yarn, and this is in this just like gorgeous sort of autumnal color. It's speckled. It's like a cream with these orange and brown speckles. And when I just saw it, it felt so fall to me. And okay, I just realized there's actually 2 errors on this. So the biggest like outstanding one is that my stitches are so lovingly twisted through the majority of it. And I learned about twisted stitches when I finally got in the round, and all of a sudden my stockinette looked quite different than the rest of my items. So yeah, that was like the biggest dead giveaway of like, hey, I think I'm doing something wrong. But you know, I was like, okay, like maybe it's just a design feature. Maybe the top half is twisted, the bottom half is stockinette. You know, whatever. I can kind of get away with it. What I didn't understand, this is like the big glaring part here, is I picked up every single stitch in the armhole here. And I believe in the directions it said something about, you know, pick up every 2 out of 3 or something to that sort. And I just like with beginner's mindset, I didn't know what that meant. And so I picked up every single stitch and I ended up with an armhole that goes so deep, you guys. I mean, it's majority of this garment. The armhole goes almost all the way down and there's only this much body. And believe it or not, I actually have worn this before. I've worn it really cute with the button down underneath it. Just like as a beginner, you're so excited to make anything or to wear anything that you've made. So yes, this has lovingly been worn. However, I just in good conscience cannot wear it any longer. Like I cannot. I would just be like, oh my gosh, Jackie, what even is this? It looks so homemade. So yeah, this needs to be frogged and turned into some yarn to use elsewhere. I believe this is a worsted weight or a DK weight yarn. So actually, when I was thinking about this in a couple other of my projects, I've so been wanting to make that Olga either jacket or pullover, and I was like, you know, this is just a vest amount, but I think this would be so cute as a stripe, because often I haven't frogged this because I've been like, oh, it's just a vest amount and it's kind of short, so I feel like I maybe wouldn't have enough yarn to make even another vest, and so that's kind of prevented me from frogging it. However, I might allot this to an Olga. So that is everything with this vest. I would love to hear down in the comments, do any of you have a project that you messed up so royally as well, but you just loved wearing? Because for me, that was that one. The yarn is just stunning. I made it, you know, so I had to wear it. But yeah, it's definitely, it needs to be frogged. I can't look at this any longer and not feel like a little tinge of embarrassment. So that is this vest. All right, next let's get into another whip that's in my little stash here. And this is one that I started last spring. And oh my gosh, opening this, you guys, the yarn is absolutely stunning. I'm using BC Garn Samilla, and this is in like a very aqua-y sort of colorway. And I'm holding it with Navia's alpaca, and this is a 100% alpaca. It's like a suri. It's very fuzzy and soft. And for both of these, I am making a Roma vest. However, pretty shortly after I cast on, I think I did the whole back panel, and then I just did a little bit of a front, and for some reason I just got stuck. I think it was the time of year, it started getting warmer, and I was like, you know, I don't really want to work with a fluff. And so I ended up just like putting it down, and eventually it just got abandoned. So let me pull this out so you can see it. It's really stunning. I have both pieces just already on, like tried on tubing, because I took my needles out. Like that's how much I was like, no, this is gonna go to sleep for a little bit. This is just a gorgeous fabric. It's, I believe it's half fisherman's rib, and it's obviously, it's worked flat because it's a vest. It's so pretty. It does look a little bit small. I may actually re-measure my gauge quick before I would put my needles back into this. But looking at this, I think that this is gorgeous. Like, what I want to do today is just take these out and be like, okay, do I like this? Would I wear this? Is this worth continuing on later? And I think for this is beautiful. I think I absolutely would wear this, especially I know this pattern has a gorgeous double knit button band. I think paired with some like tortoise buttons, it could be so, so cool. However, I know myself and I will not wear this in November, December. I might actually wear it though in January, February. Once it hits January, I start really loving these icy blues again because it just feels so like snowy, wintry. So what I'm thinking is perhaps I start working on this again in January because I'm going to be excited to be working on some like icy blue colors, and then I can have a finished vest really nice to wear throughout the spring and kind of that last tail of winter as it starts like we have a big section of winter left at that point, but this would also be so, so cute to wear into the spring. So, all right. We've accomplished one like goal, one deadline sort of for myself. So what I'm going to do today is after every single one of these, I am either going to put it in my calendar or in my Ravelry, what my plan is, or we're going to frog. So this one, yay. This is going to be started up again in January. So good job for us. We've got one down. Let's see what we've got here next. Oh, actually, another something very, very blue. If you are an OG watcher on my channel, you actually might remember this because I think I first featured this in one of my like very first videos. Like it might have been my first or second video. And for this, oh, is this nice, you guys? This is Blue Sky Fibers in their Extra Aran. So this is a 55% baby alpaca, 45% fine merino. And this was one of those where I was like standing in the checkout at Wool & Company and I saw it and I was like, you know what, like maybe just a few more skeins, like maybe just a little bit more, I get this. And so I ended up purchasing it for a Sophie shawl because I was also purchasing a Musselburgh hat that had a tiny bit of blue in it. So the hat, majority of it is like this like pinkish purpley, but then it has some speckles, really cute that are this blue. So I was like, it's kind of like, it's matching, but it's not like aggressively matching. And so I believe I purchased 3 skeins. Yes, 3. So I've currently finished one and I am on to the second. I think it's either that or I purchased 2, but so I have this much finished. I think it needs to go a ways yet. I wanted to look at this and see if you're familiar with these Sophie scarves, you have to increase every certain amount of rows. And I remember being annoyed at, it's kind of hard to count and it's kind of hard to see where you're increasing. And so I remember just being like working on it and forgetting where I was and sometimes forgetting to do my increases, but it actually, it looks really nice. Because I did this, you know, over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I just was a little bit concerned that it might not look too good. But it actually looks great. You know, one of my concerns with this as well is the 50% alpaca. And just trying to think here. It definitely, like, I can feel the prickle on myself. I can. I also don't super, like, this isn't something I'm going to really gravitate towards of like, I really want to wear this color as a scarf. I think that's why I haven't been drawn to finishing it. Like I have that hat as well, but they're just not colors I'm currently gravitating towards. This is before I got a color analysis and like, I just don't always as much love these colors on me. But it's like saying that, like, this is still like a color I'd have no problem wearing for myself. But yeah, I don't know about this. it doesn't excite me enough to want to wear it this winter. Like I'd way rather finish some of my other projects for this winter. And I actually also feel like this yarn is a little bit dense for this project. Let me look up actually what this Sophie is supposed to be. So this Sophie shawl is supposed to be a DK. Okay, I think that makes sense. This is supposed to be a DK weight. I'm using an Aran, and I'm using the same needles that you're supposed to use for DK. So that's why it just feels a little bit too tight. And okay, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it just doesn't like really feel correct, and I think it wasn't super feeling good on my hands either, which is why I maybe stopped. I think I should have went up either 1 or 2 needle sizes if I really wanted to use an Aran weight yarn. So what I think I'm going to do with this, actually, I just decided, is I am going to frog this. And actually, for a little bit of shock and awe, I'm going to do it while I'm on the screen with you. And I'm thinking for this, I remember last year I was looking at, there are so many gorgeous like color work sweater patterns that use Aran weight yarn. So I'm thinking, you know how cute that would be if I did like this in some color work. Might be really, really cool. I could also do a stripe if I really wanted to for this. But yeah, I'm thinking like this is gorgeous yarn. I don't want to make a scarf and then not wear it. Does that make sense? So like looking at this, if I don't love it, I know I'm not going to wear it. And then I know I'm not going to be excited to work on it either, which is what happened with this, right? Like that's why I stopped working on it. So I think that's something to be mindful of for you all as well. Is just like, sometimes we feel so much guilt about the yarn that's in our stash and we think, oh, it's in our stash, so I have to use it. That's the only thing I can work on. I can't even desire to work on anything else. And I just think that's like so not the case. Like, there are other options. You can give the yarn to a friend. You can destash the yarn. You can donate the yarn. Just like if you're not liking it, I don't know. I just feel like life's, it's so cliche. Life's too short. But I don't know, man. It does kind of feel that way. Like, it just does. For me, especially with having this YouTube channel, sometimes it can feel a little bit like a second job, right? Where it's like, it weighs on me to film and to edit. And not only that, because I can get into the mode to do those things and I like doing those things, but what can really harm me is feeling like I need to constantly finish things, and especially at a fast pace for YouTube. And because I want to create good and exciting content, like of course, like people that finish the most gorgeous things like quickly, I love those channels. I'm sure some of you follow some of them as well. How fun is it to see people make a new sweater like once a month and it's gorgeous and they're just so talented and they look so gorgeous in it, and it just feels like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. But I just know for me, like I work a full-time job, and I don't know, I have other hobbies as well. Like I like to read, and I have pets, and what would be really good for me is like maybe if I worked out more than once a week and that sort of thing. So I think I'm just saying that out loud just so you guys know, like there's none of this is a race, and it's not worth like this. I only needed one more ball to finish it, but it's not worth like your own happiness and your own hobby just to have like a finished object. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I get into that mentality of just finishing something just to finish it, it's almost like the high of finishing it. You get excited to finish it, you block it, you wear it. But for me, it goes down so fast. It's like I feel good for that really height of it, but then it's just like I'm not going to wear it. You know, I take a picture of it. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll show you guys. And it's like, okay, well, what was the point of that? You know, it's not really that exciting. So anyways, I'll stop for now. I'm almost finished frogging this, but yeah, bye to the Sophie shawl. Hopefully you become a really gorgeous sweater one day. So actually, yeah, I'm taking it out of my little bag here, and this is gonna go back in my yarn stash. I have my stash kind of separated by weights, and so now this will go in my errand pile. Very exciting. So go us. We frogged one. We are brave. We frogged one. Let's go to the next. Can I just say as well, I'm so proud of myself for frogging that. I have been sitting on it for like a year and a half, maybe longer, and I haven't frogged it because you just feel guilty about frogging things, you know, especially when stuff's like halfway done. No, I feel great. That feels great. Next, let's talk about, let me just get this pulled up. I have a pair of DK weight socks, and I decided to make these because I just kind of wanted a quick make, and I had only ever made fingering weight socks before, had never made a DK weight sock. And so this one I kind of just like quickly finished. I used Regia sock, let's see, they're 6-ply yarn in the colorway Autumn Walk. And I used the DK weight vanilla sock pattern by Crazy Sock Lady. And so I think pretty quickly I finished one sock. Like, oh my goodness, DK weight socks, they just fly. So I finished this, but then I went on a trip. And I was like, you know what? Perfect. I'll bring another sock. But I had waited a little bit. And I looked at the pattern, and for some reason I didn't write down what needle size I used. And I'm convinced that I accidentally used a different needle size, because if you look at these next to each other, oh my goodness, you guys, these are all the exact same amount of stitches. However, one is glaringly bigger than the other, and I didn't even realize this until I came home. So I finished this all the way to the end. All I need to do is Kitchener stitch the bottom. And I got all the way home and I realized, oh my God, one is way, way longer than the other. What is going on? I recounted them all, and I just looked at the stitches next to each other, and I was like, yeah, I definitely used too big of a needle size. So let's see, what was this? This is a 2.5. I'm wondering, let's see, 3mm. I'm wondering if I must have just done a US 2 before. It had to have been a US 2, because I know I wouldn't have used a US 1, because that's what I use for fingering weight yarn. So yeah, looking at this now, like, I'm just making the executive decision, especially since, you know, I've been hanging out with you guys and we've already been in like the frogging mood. Let's frog this. Because I have one done and this looks great. And actually, you know what? Let's try this on really quick as well. Let's try it on. Let's see, like, is this worth making another? And yeah, it fits perfectly. It looks good. I don't know how I feel about like a DK weight in general. You definitely just like feel the stitches more on yourself. But yeah, that's okay. Okay. We're doing this. Look how much yarn I have left over too. After knitting 2 whole socks, again, back to the rug tufting thing. You have so much left over after you're finished with a project. So yeah, this was sad in that like I literally finished a whole other sock, but because I didn't bring the other one with me on vacation, I had no idea. So yeah, kind of a reminder for myself, dang, I kind of should maybe bring both socks with me everywhere. One other thing I've been thinking through too, maybe with my socks, because I have another one currently on my needles, is like, you know, everyone always talks about, oh, second sock syndrome, whatever, is a thing. I do think that what might be a good idea for me is like knitting one cuff, putting it on some scrap yarn, then knitting the other cuff, scrap yarn, do both, heel turns, whatever. Just because sometimes it is hard, like, I don't know, I sometimes will write everything down and think to myself, okay, like I will completely remember this. or I'll write it down and, you know, things get forgotten or whatever. And yeah, or I just psych myself up for the next sock and I'm like, I don't know, do I really want to do it? Blah, blah, blah. Which is why there was a long break in between these and then things got messed up. And I think if I kind of make it into shorter sections, like shorter categories, maybe that would help me. So I'm going to try that. Yeah, I'm going to try it and see what happens. And one other thing I just saw in the viewfinder, you may notice behind me today, we have a brand new background, and I just purchased this like really huge felt board for my craft room. So I'm still in the exact same room. You're just looking at a different wall angle. And I really had wanted like a design wall. So a lot of quilters, they'll use what's called a design wall, which is essentially a lot of times just like a piece of felt or flannel on a board. And it helps them because when you finish your pieces, you can put them up on a wall and just kind of like plan out your quilt, especially if you're like designing it yourself, or yeah, it just helps to get them up off the floor. For me, like with my pets, if I lay out all my quilt scraps on the floor, oh my goodness, my pets will come in, they'll like make a bed, they're like playing in them, and yeah, it's a little bit scary. So I have always wanted to have a design wall as well. And yeah, I was just like, okay, this wall behind me I think is perfect. So I purchased one, and I'll link it down below for you if you're interested as well. I think this is like, it's great quality. I'm super happy with my purchase. And I also love the neutral color. I think it's so perfect for me to like vividly see my pieces. So I put a bunch of my quilt squares over here, and then on the other side, I just like put up a bunch of my swatches. And I thought that might be kind of a fun backdrop for you all, but also it's fun for me to look at and kind of like inspires me and reminds me of past projects and that sort of thing. So yeah, super, super fun. All right, y'all, we're already to the ribbing. See here, I'm getting a little bit stuck. But yeah, looking at this, you know, this would be kind of a fun Thanksgiving-y. It looks kind of Thanksgiving, like with the oranges in there. It actually looks a little bit like August-y. I already have socks allotted for this fall. I have on another pair of socks on my needles. So I think this is going to live back in my whip pile with this. And I actually think I might like tentatively just plan for myself to like rework on this next August. Like I said, I might just put this like in a calendar somewhere. This would be a really cute one to cast on next August and work on for the next fall, and just have like a super quick project. If I go on a trip and need something quicker, maybe I'll pick it up faster, but otherwise this is going back in the whip pile, but it's fully frogged and ready to go now. And I can just remember like, hey, that's a really fast one. Okay, let's dig back in. All right, next, this one's kind of sad. This was a really fun project that I had worked on. This is a tank top that I knit using Noro Kakagori. And this is a skein of yarn that like we just had like a de-stash pile with friends. And I had one friend use this yarn when she was making a sweatshirt, I believed, my friend Sarah, and it was gorgeous. And I've just like always wanted to touch and play with this yarn. It's very, very wabi-sabi. Like it feels like watercolor, how you're looking at it, like all the colors kind of going through it. And I just felt like I really wanted to play with it when I went to San Diego earlier this spring. I needed a travel project and I was like, you know what, it might be really fun. And I did have fun. I had so much fun playing with this while I was there. And so I had cast on the tip top tank, and it is just, it's not, it's not gonna be good. I feel like I kept trying to be like, oh yeah, like that's gonna work, that's gonna be cute. But I think looking at it, it might be something that I might wear for like one beach day, one event, that sort of thing. But I think the yarn is gonna go to waste, and it's so beautiful, and I don't want that to happen where it's just not something that I love. And the issue, like I talked about this on my podcast when I was working on it, it's not my color. I do not like pink on myself. I'm also just like not a pink girl. You know when girls say that, like I'm just not a pink girl. And that's 100% okay. I used to think that was like something was wrong with me, but I think that's totally fine. That's okay. And so yeah, I am a process knitter. I had so much fun working with this. I had fun on my trip playing with it. It feels so nice. It has like a little bit of, let's see, something really soft in it. I almost wonder what's in this. I think it's, I'll have to leave up on the screen what it's made out of, but it's so, so soft, so delicious. But yeah, this is gonna get frogged. I still have my other projects that I frog. So I know I said I was gonna frog with you on screen, but guys, this is like already off the needles, I think. Yeah, it's already off the needles. So it's already in the process of being frogged. So what I'm going to do is I am going to frog this, and then I'm going to gift it to a friend who is a pink girl. So if any of my friends watching this, you might be getting a text from me saying like, hey, do you want this? But yeah, I feel like it needs to go to somebody who's going to love it and make something really, really gorgeous out of it, because it is so pretty. And these skeins are expensive. Like one skein is actually a ton of yarn, like definitely enough for a tank top. And so yeah, I'll be gifting this. I'll be frogging it and gifting it. All right, two more. Next I have this gorgeous Berlin scarf, and I knit this, let's see. I knit this out of Laying Yarns Cloud, and this is in their #1 colorway. Feels so good. And I was working on this like all last winter, and it just started getting warmer and feeling like, oh, like this is gonna get no use from me, like I'm not gonna wear it. And so I stopped working on it. But it was working up very quickly. I have the needle out of it now, but I was using a US 10, and I have finished one part of the fringes here. But what happened is I made the grave mistake. It's so dramatic. It's not a grave mistake. I made the mistake of not weighing my yarn ball to see how much yarn my fringes take. And I only have one more ball I'm working through right now. And I think I just got a little bit of like decision fatigue, basically. Like I didn't know when to stop, like when I should stop knitting and I should start working on those fringes, because I feel like I'm not totally playing yarn chicken with this, but like mine's gonna be a little bit shorter than maybe what's recommended. I'll end up using 3 skeins of the Laying Cloud for this. And so like, I just really, really want it to be as long as possible and then get into the fringes. However, I do know that this is gonna grow a fair amount. And like, just looking at it now, you guys, it's hitting like mid-thigh for me. So like, it's not going to be the super dramatic, like those acne scars that go all the way down, or what this pattern is supposed to be where it goes all the way down. However, I think like with blocking, and once I finish out a little bit more of this skein, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It feels delicious. Oh my gosh, I love the way it feels. This was like a little bit out of left field using this yarn for this, because a lot of people, just use a completely, I think what's recommended in the pattern is just like a completely different sort of yarn, the Sandisgarn alpaca that's bulky. And I ended up just picking this Laying Cloud because I was seeing it everywhere last year, seeing it all over TikTok. And so I was just like, you know what, I am going to use something fun and just kind of try it out. And I knew it would be just like kind of cool knit in the round. And I love these colors of this Cloud 1. It's like these like olivey greens. I feel like that's like the biggest like color takeaway is that olive green. But then it has, just a bunch of other neutrals in there and looks so good. Okay, so taking this out, feeling it around my neck, oh my goodness, that was so worth it. I feel so inspired to continue working on this. So what I'm gonna do after this video is I'm gonna re-put a needle in here. I'm gonna put a US 10 needle in here. I am gonna keep knitting on it, and I really want to have this ready to go at the start of November so I can start wearing it with my coat. I think it's so cute for the month of November. And yeah, I'm kind of in the hunt for like a new winter coat too. I really want something like brown, so I think this will be so cute with it. And I also think it would be so fun. I would love to pick out a color from in here and make a matching hat. Like I'm thinking maybe one of these olivey greens I would really love, or even I've also been thinking maybe like a really like light beige would just be like such a staple, you know, like could wear it with anything, or again a brown, but the green would also be so special, so fun. So that is this. This is going to be going on a needle right when I finish this video. All right, and last but certainly not least, one you may not even know that it's on the chopping block today, and one that is pretty sad for me because I've gotten pretty far. This is, I've talked about this in the past couple of episodes of my podcast. This is the Marseille sweater that is knit without its stripes. I ended up casting it on and just thinking like, oh my gosh, maybe this would be gorgeous. Just kind of left on its own, and I feel like I was in a mood of really just wanting like basic sweaters. For some reason, I just haven't knit enough like plain basic sweaters. I have so many, I look in my closet sometimes and I'm like, I just have so many weird sweaters, which, you know, maybe is not a bad thing. However, I thought I had one more skein than I do. And once I finished the whole back, I finished the fronts. I've picked up for the sleeve. I've started the sleeve, and I'm just like I weighed my yarn. I just started a brand new yarn ball for the sleeve. I've weighed it, I've measured it, I've done some math, and I just know I'm not gonna have enough yarn. You know when you just know, like you can feel it, and I mean, not only can you feel it, but there's also a thing called math, like you can do, and you can just know if you're gonna have enough. And I just know for the details that I want for this sweater, which is like, I want it to be long enough. I want to have the cuffs go long. I want to have a folded over collar. I know I'm not gonna have enough for those. If I really fudged it, I think I could get a cropped sweater out of this. I could get, you know, not a fold over. I could get exactly bracelet length sleeves, and I just know that's not what I wanted out of this yarn. And so unfortunately, I do think that this needs to be frogged. This is one decision I might sit with a little bit longer than just right now and start frogging it. I'm gonna measure it one more time. I'm gonna double check, but I do think it's something that needs to be done. And it's funny, I was actually looking at this when I pulled it over, and I was like, wait, that might be kind of cute to do a stripe with these. Like, it'd be so autumnal and cute. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. I already have that stripe hype that's in the autumn colors, and so that feels like I already have the perfect autumn striped sweater. Like, do I really need 2 autumn striped sweaters when it feels like a little bit more limiting? Like this yarn just like, it does feel like it's like exactly only in that category. But I'm gonna think about it. Maybe I'll swatch with it and see what I think and compare it to that other swatch that I have. So I have another swatch of this with the Sanus Garn, Pure Gint, and that's another kind of speckle. So again, I think that this needs to either be a vest or it needs to go into a striped sweater, just because I don't have enough yarn. So yeah, and I don't always like these dark vests because I tend to wear like a light color underneath it. I'm thinking out loud right now. I also think, looking at this fabric, I didn't swatch because I used the same needle size, and I swatched for 2 Olgas with this yarn, and I hit gauge. And so I was like, oh, I don't need a swatch for this. However, I feel like I absolutely needed to go up a needle size for this. It's been hurting my hands. The fabric feels very dense. And I think the reason why is because this yarn, because it's just from like a local farm, it goes very much so from like thin to thick. And yeah, it's just, the fabric just feels like very pretty dense. And like, it's just not it. And I think I've been having a lot of guilt about this as well, because I've gotten so far. I've talked with you all about it. I would absolutely love to have a crew neck chocolate sweater. Like, what's done is done. I've paid for this yarn. And so yeah, just know, like, if you also feel those feelings, like, you're not alone. It's hard. I don't know if I have a tendency to overthink these things or why I feel this way. You know, if it's the nature of my channel, or just like wanting to be a good maker, or being too hard on myself, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Who knows what it is, but I just know that I do have that feeling. I desire to work on things that I'm proud of, and that I feel good feelings towards. And because working on this gives me this sense of guilt, because I feel like I'm not going to have enough yarn. It's not looking how I want it to look. It hurts my hands because I don't think I should have went up a needle size. Like, I am trying to be kinder to myself, that like, when I start having these feelings, that it's okay. And so I hope that, like, maybe hearing this, you do too. Even if, like, maybe the outside world or your friends or whoever is telling you, like, no, like, just finish it, like, it's fine, like, it doesn't matter, like, just do what you want. It's your making. It's, again, like everybody always says online, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's not a job. Like, I always say, like, oh my gosh, I gotta clock into my sweatshop. It's like so demeaning. That's not at all what it is. It's just like the joy of making things with my hands and decompressing and enjoying and watching TV or meditating and praying, and like being able to use my own two hands to make beautiful things. That's what it's all about. And I hope that you watching me go through all of my whips today, that's all of my whips. I hope you seeing me talk about them and kind of just like analyze them makes you feel like you were able to make with a friend today, and maybe helps you to think through some of your current whip pile, whether or not you should address them, you should frog them, or yeah, you should just put what you're working on down and work on something that actually makes you happy and that you actually love. So yeah. Thank you all for being here today. Again, thank you to Clawlab for sponsoring today's video, and I will leave that link for you all down below if you're interested, and maybe just like trying out a new hobby, something to do with your huge piles of scrap yarn. I'll leave that linked. And other than that, I will be back again next week with a podcast episode where I'll update you all on what's going on with the current things that I am making. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.